Ethan Croft was the kind of millionaire people whispered about long after he left the room. Handsome, cold, intimidating, and the type who treated life as a game he could always win. At 32, with a luxury penthouse overlooking the city and a reputation for breaking hearts, Ethan believed he had seen through everyone. In his world, beauty meant value, and value meant worth. It was during one of his elite parties, filled with glittering chandeliers, models in designer dresses, and businessmen with expensive fake smiles, that the bet was made. His so-called friends, men who thrived on ego more than intelligence, nudged him toward the balcony with smug grins. "You've conquered every challenge, Ethan," one of them laughed. "But here's one you'll never dare to accept." Ethan raised an eyebrow, bored but curious. "Try me." They pointed discreetly toward the lobby of the hotel where the party was held. There stood a woman, plus-sized, wearing a simple floral dress, adjusting her glasses nervously as she handed over pastries she had delivered for the event. Her name, unknown to all of them, was Clara Hayes. "The challenge," another man smirked, "is to marry her within 2 months, no cheating, no backing out." The men laughed as if the idea itself was absurd. A millionaire marrying a poor overweight bakery worker? Impossible. Ethan's pride flared. His life had always been about proving he could bend reality to his will. To him, Clara wasn't a woman. She was a test, a challenge. "Fine," Ethan said coolly, swirling the champagne in his glass. "I accept." His friends froze. No one expected him to agree. Without hesitation, Ethan walked downstairs. Clara was arranging leftover boxes, her cheeks flushed from rushing. She looked up, startled, when Ethan approached her with a perfect practice smile. "Hi," he said smoothly. "You're Clara, right? I love the pastries. Mind if I take you out for coffee?" Clara blinked, confused. Men like Ethan didn't speak to women like her. She hesitated, wondering if this was a joke, but his charming voice and polite tone made her heart flutter. Sure," she whispered softly. As they walked out together, Ethan felt victorious. His friends watched from above, triumphant in their cruelty. But what Ethan didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Clara carried a strength, kindness, and quiet dignity that would shatter his arrogance, soften his heart, and change his life in ways he never imagined. The bet was just the beginning. Clara Hayes had never imagined sitting across from a man like Ethan Croft. The quiet cafe felt suddenly too bright, too elegant, too unreal. She stirred her hot chocolate nervously, avoiding his gaze. Men didn't look at her like that. Not with interest, not with attention. Ethan, on the other hand, was performing. He leaned forward with calculated charm, the same charm that closed business deals and won over investors. "So, Clara?" he asked smoothly. "Tell me about yourself." Clara pushed her glasses up. "There's not much to tell," she murmured. "I work at Sweet Bloom Bakery. I bake, I deliver orders. That's pretty much it." Ethan smiled as if fascinated. In truth, he was studying her like an assignment. He needed to understand her habits, her emotions, her vulnerabilities, anything that would help him win the bet. But something unexpected happened. The more she talked, the quieter he became. Clara spoke with warmth about her love for baking, how her mother taught her recipes before she passed away. She shared how she worked 2 jobs to support her younger sister through community college. She laughed shyly when describing her dream of opening her own bakery someday. There was no pretense in her, no hidden agenda, no interest in his money, fame, or last name. She was genuine. Ethan wasn't prepared for that. He caught himself actually listening, not pretending to. The softness in Clara's voice made something stir in him, something he couldn't name. It irritated him. This wasn't part of the plan. When he dropped her home that evening, Clara stepped out of his luxury car with a strange mix of excitement and confusion. She waved goodbye, still doubting why a man like him would want anything to do with her. Inside her small apartment, her younger sister Lily squealed when she heard about the mysterious handsome stranger. "He asked you out again?" Lily gasped the next evening when Ethan texted, "Clara, maybe he actually likes you." Clara shook her head with a sad smile. "People like him don't end up with people like me." Meanwhile, Ethan's friends were eagerly waiting for updates. They snickered, asking, "So, is the plan working? How long till she says yes to marriage? Ethan forced a smirk. Soon. But as he lay awake that night, staring at the city lights, the truth he refused to acknowledge whispered inside him. Something about Clara was different. Something about her made him feel seen, and for the first time in years, human, and that was dangerously off script. Ethan had invited Clara to a private rooftop garden, soft lights, warm candles, and a dinner prepared by a five-star chef. Clara stood there in a simple blue dress, the wind brushing gently through her hair. She felt out of place, yet strangely cherished. For weeks, Ethan had been different around her, softer, warmer. He listened when she spoke, remembered the small things she liked, and even brought her pastries from her favorite cafe. Clara's heart was opening despite every warning she had built into herself, and Ethan, he was falling without realizing it. But tonight, his carefully constructed world would collapse. As they finished dinner, laughter lingering between them, the rooftop door suddenly burst open. 3 men, Ethan's so-called friends, stumbled in, drunk and loud. "There he is," one of them shouted, clapping sarcastically. "Our man of the hour, how's the bet going, Ethan?" Clara froze. Ethan's blood turned to ice. "Shut up," he growled. Another friend laughed cruelly. "Relax, she'll find out anyway. You're almost there. Just a few more sweet dates and she'll marry you. Then boom, you win $1 million. Silence. Clara stood perfectly still, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. "A bet?" she whispered. Ethan's throat tightened. "Clara, let me explain." But she stepped back as though he had struck her. Her eyes, once soft and hopeful, now filled with something he'd never seen from her before. Devastation. "So it was all fake," she choked. "Every smile, every word, you used me?" "No," Ethan said desperately, stepping forward. "It started that way, yes, but Clara, I swear I didn't mean to. Things changed." She shook her head violently. "How could you? You knew how insecure I was. You knew I've been judged my whole life for how I look, for not being enough. And you used that as a game?" Tears dripped onto the ground. Ethan reached for her, but she pulled away like his touch burned her. "You were supposed to be different," she whispered, "but you're worse." Then she ran past him, past the rooftop door, disappearing into the night. Ethan stood frozen, the city lights blurring as guilt crushed him. His friend's smug laughter faded as he realized the horrifying truth. He hadn't won a bet. He had destroyed the only woman who ever made him feel human again. And this time, no amount of money could fix what he broke.